All right, what's been going on? What went on today for PPI? Um, we had a big drop. The last line of defense was absolutely sniper on ES. Wave 7 hourly on the second test. Last line of defense pushed aggressively. We would not get above significantly. So the most we got above what? 2 points maybe? 1.75. And on NQ, we oscillated around a lot with dead zone. It was really, really nice to scalp off of dead zone in overnight session. But then we had that massive drop. There are people who took longs at median range, which is absolutely sniper. Super kudos to you all that took longs. Just super sniper. That happens quite a bit. And then TP'd. You could have TP'd at this buyer target. That would have been absolutely stellar if anybody took that. But anything in between was also great. Got a lot of help from these charts and the really the fractal analysis on today. It was such a clean day, so many wins for both NQ and ES. Really happy for everyone exercising rules. Clustered imprints absorbed a lot of the impact on ES. We had this push up and just awesome targets. Awesome, awesome targets. Support again on average move. It was such a clear, clean day. Study it for future. Go back and watch the market preview, watch how it played out, and it would help. What are we looking at going into August 15th? Ending the week. Ending the week. We are looking at, again, dead zone. We already bounced off of it. Giving us some insight into sentiment, but we haven't crossed the pivot yet on ES. But what are we looking at on NQ? Dead zone is actually a little bit lower than where we close, which is not usual. But again, same bias. There's a 3x open state inside, support above it. This can continue to grind up. We have ETH resistance here, stacked up with weekly ceiling and the vectors. They basically didn't move all day for wave 1015 and wave 760. High of day at or above 84%. 84%. So this is very, very significant. If they're wanting to really float above for overnight session, they got to get through from 17 to 30. That 13-point range is going to be very significant. If they get above, overnight ceiling is target. Just float, 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 float. There's an average move on the wave 10, 15. I'm probably paying attention more to this with RTH. If we stay hanging out above here, or if London pushes us down, I'm expecting still tests in this area. This is going to be super important for whether or not we get. Consider this dead zone as bias, developing a bias in this area, but a checkpoint for those long biases being confirmed, 917 and 930. And if we do get above, just target 24,000 psychological, then overnight ceiling, last line of defensive here. We break through this. Again, buyer euphoria, going to median range, spliced average moves. It's just going to push, push, push like a buyer's train. Just jump from average move to average move, but nice targets in between. Where there's an area that I could expect possible reversions, well, I'm going to start looking for one at this last line of defense, about the 15-minute. But again, I'm not sure that we're going to get up here in the overnight session until we start establishing support above here so that we could have a launching pad to move up. And this overnight ceiling is important, but the first one I'm looking for, this is the last line of defense, which did line up actually with the wave 20 daily 2x open states from yesterday. So that's super, super important. If we break above this, we're pushing, pushing, pushing. Another 80 points. It's just going to push. Don't get steamrolled. But there's these last lines of defense on the hourly. I mean, it was on the splice daily and on the 15 minutes. So I'm paying attention to these last lines of defense. Very important imprint zones. If we start rejecting here, maybe we chop overnight. Not really interested in too aggressive selling until we start fulfilling these open states and breaking through that in the dead zone. To where? Well, major area of support on NQ from 750 to 775. So much. There's last lines of defense, 80% bands. The nearest L2, there's, I think, 4 open states, average mean waves, wave 7 hourly, 50% band, average move as well. Median range close by, 50% low of day at or below. So if we get down here, the probabilities are decreasing quite a bit for further continuation. That doesn't mean it won't happen, but there's a great opportunity for buyers to step in and find support in this area and revert to the long side. Very appealing targets on these average moves on the 15-minute and hourly time frames. That's for QQQ. So that I could expect to be attractive for buyers during RTH. I have some ETH levels, ETH resistance here. It's all very important for ETH. ETH, also an ETH level is in here inside the dead zone. I didn't write it down because it overlaps with the 3x open state. So keep that in mind. This entire area, 930 to 840, is going to be really important in the overnight session. We might just chop around and wait for RTA's volume to step in, unless we get some news overnight for some catalyst to break above or below. But if we get some weekly PML reversion action based off of the weekly ceiling, we got splice vector that can get in the way, but a 450 point move is going to have some speed bumps along the way. Starting here, 750 to 775, splice vector almost exactly overlapping with the PML is very significant. There's going to be buyer opportunities along the way to bounce. And if sellers are aggressive, we might bounce here, retest, and push back down to move towards a weekly PML. We're going to have to see how this entire zone is treated overnight. Wave 7 hourly last line defense plus 20% band. Sellers are going to lose steam and the probabilities to push further. And if they do, 10% and 5% band overlapping with spliced L1 min. There's a lot of great opportunities for buyers to step in and start pushing up. Unless we get consolidation and then the fractal will start resetting and we can anticipate move for continuation. But these last lines of defense and these vector and PML tests overlapping, there's going to be opportunities for buyers to step back in. 80% of the chance, 80% chance low of day is above. And so we're going to need essentially a catalyst to step in for us to get this very nice weekly PML reversion and start pushing beyond all of this. But I put these levels in just in case we do get that catalyst. Overnight floor is very, very low. We got a big drop. Overnight floor 2 days ago, yesterday, and then boom, it dropped 600 points essentially. So sellers are going to have some speed bumps. Buyers are going to have opportunities. What is ES showing us? Well, pivot zone at the top of yellow box, 75% high of day at or above. Very important for us to transition long, basically overlapping with this area on NQ. ETH last line of defense. That's helping us to know if we're going to have continuation through the night and flow. Set your TPs. Remember, volume is thinner unless we get a catalyst overnight. Median range, if we break above this ETH 6500, we're going to float. It's essentially a last line defense. There's not a lot of resistance in the way. Target 6 points, 11 points, be content. But if we break above, this is aggressively going to go up. My levels just disappeared. I will update the charts. But if we start breaking below, what are we anticipating? Again, massive support here. Wave 7 hourly imprints, wave 1 daily imprints, L1 minimum, ETH seller target is going to be inside, 95% low of day at or below. So this is a great opportunity for a reversion here as buyers will step in to try to keep this alive. Got some average moves in there and vectors, but that's going to be also supportive, especially bottom of the yellow box. Be mindful of that and set these targets as we move down. Imprints, double bottoms, same as NQ. Buyer opportunities. Watch. Don't be greedy. Don't bag hold. Don't over leverage. there's great opportunities. That's seller target. I forgot to delete it. But spliced vector down here and the spliced L1 min. So if this gets broken, sellers are serious. All these buying opportunities, they might be a balance and then move back down. But if they're broken, sellers are serious. So I'm targeting the bigger picture levels. Spliced vector being one, wave 7 daily being another. Spliced L1 min. That's Friday over Fridays, 82% of time. Low of day above 59. So exercise risk management. Hope this helps. You'll see an update of charts even more later tonight. Take care.